Governor Ron DeSantis sends illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard, and the press hound Karine Jean-Pierre for saying that the border is secure. All that and more here on The Bald Brad Show. Welcome to The Bald Brad Show. It is Friday, September 16th, and as always, I couldn't be happier than to end this week off right, doing The Bald Brad Show and hanging out with all of you, my friends and true American patriots, where we come together as a community of conservatives and Republicans, go over the stories of the day, and bring you all the news and information you need to know about. So if you want to join us here at The Bald Brad Show and you haven't already, well, what are you doing? Hit that like and subscribe button. If you're over at Rumble, hit the plus and give us a comment down below. And if you're listening on any of the podcast airwaves, Apple, Google, Spotify, heck, folks, you can listen to us anywhere and everywhere. Leave us a lovely 5-star review. Not only would you be helping a conservative, but most importantly, you'd be supporting getting conservative thought and ideas out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So your help and support would be greatly appreciated. With that being said, an interesting turn of events here at the Bald Brad Show. We almost didn't have a show this Friday morning at all. There was an update on the OBS software that I used to record this. So my stream deck of how I switch camera angles and go back and forth wasn't working. Whole bunch of chaotic stuff going on, but we got it resolved, folks. So we are filming at a very, very odd hour. You are all probably sleeping while we are filming this episode here of the Bald Brad Show. We got to make sure that we are on the grind to get the news out to all of you and also just show the craziness from the Biden administration. I know we cover it each and every day here on the Bald Brad channel, and it's relentless. But look, they're relentless with their lies. They're relentless with gaslighting all of us, and that's going to be on full display once again today, folks. Let's jump into our lead story of the day with the great man, Ron DeSantis, one of the few governors in this country that actually knows how to govern. He, in the big news yesterday, was sending busloads of illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard, like right in front of Kamala Harris' house. I freaking love it. And he did a presser about it, was getting asked a bunch of questions. And I would like to go through how he answers these questions because it's amazing the contrast between Governor Ron DeSantis on how he answers questions very clearly compared to Karine Jean-Pierre, which we have multiple segments to show on how she answers her questions, most recently from yesterday's press briefing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to Ron DeSantis. The mic is a little bit weird for the interview here, so just a heads up, it has like a buzzing noise. That's not me. That's to capture the audio from their end. And it's really hard to hear the reporters asking their questions, but the main point, again, is to catch Ron DeSantis on what he says. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Okay, any questions back there? Yes, sir. We take what's happening at the southern border very seriously, unlike some, and unlike the President of the United States, who has refused to lift a finger to secure that border. And you've had millions and millions of people pouring across illegally, record amount of fentanyl coming into our country. It is absolutely killing Americans in record numbers. Of course, you have criminal aliens, but just the sheer number of people, it's not the way you run a country. Unfortunately, there's a lot of folks that come across. Where do they want to end up? A lot want to come to, because everyone wants to come to Florida. And so we've worked on innovative ways to be able to protect the state of Florida from the impact of Biden's border policies. And so that's involved a number of things. We've had different operations in the Panhandle where we've stopped human smugglers. There have been criminal charges brought. There have been drugs seized. There have been a whole bunch of things. But yes, if you have folks that are inclined to think Florida is a good place, our message to them is we are not a sanctuary state, and it's better to be able to go to a sanctuary jurisdiction. And yes, we will help facilitate that transport for you to be able to go to greener pastures.
How clear is that messaging? You understood the guy's purpose. You understood what he's doing, his plan, what he did in the past, what he's going to continue to do in the future. You don't get these types of answers from Karine Jean-Pierre. Lord knows you ain't getting it from Joe Biden, right? That guy, for the love of God, doesn't even know his own name. He doesn't even know where to start a sentence. Pressure. Like, that guy is just, we're not even going to begin with that. Amazing answers here coming from Ron DeSantis. And what's astonishing, and you will see it in the next segment, and they've been doing it in the past as well, and we've covered it here, with Karine Jean-Pierre blaming the Trump administration for a broken immigration system. And I put that in air quotes for those that are listening. A broken immigration system and a disaster from the Trump administration. Really? I mean, if the Trump administration's immigration, of what they handled and did, was a disaster. What do you call this current administration? What's worse than a disaster? A debacle? I don't know. But if that was a disaster, I'm just curious as what the Biden administration calls their whole shenanigans. Because hell, if you're going to blame it on Trump, which you shouldn't do, he didn't have these kind of numbers. No American president in the history of this country has had these numbers. And that's not me exaggerating. That's an actual statistic. I'm curious, what do they call their debacle that's taking place now? Let's continue.
Well, I would just note, Biden would fly people in the middle of the night, dump them all across this country. There was no warning on any of this. They're doing it and they're farming people out all around. They're also doing things like, so, we've had people right on the border helping, working ways. They will dump in San Antonio, and these people have, they're basically just there. And a lot of them end up migrating to different parts, but it's harder for us to stop a onesie twosie coming into Florida, because I don't know, if you're just driving a normal car and you have one or two people in it who are illegal, you can't determine that on the front end. You can do if there's large movement or caravans or buses, but we haven't had that, partially because Governor Abbott is busing to New York City and DC. And all those people in DC and New York were beating their chests when Trump was president, saying they were so proud to be sanctuary jurisdictions, saying how bad it was to have a secure border. The minute even a small fraction of what those border towns deal with every day is brought to their front door, they all of a sudden go berserk, and they're so upset that this is happening. And it just shows you, their virtue signaling is a fraud, okay? They are supporting policies that are just frankly indefensible. It is not defensible for a superpower to not have any control over the territory of its country, over the borders of its country. And he inherited a situation where you didn't have this happening. And yes, we needed to build the wall. There was more that we needed to do. He reversed the Trump policies, knowing what would end up happening. And one of the reasons why we want to transport, because it's expensive if people are coming here. It taxes social services and all these other things. And so if we can do in a sanctuary, well, then the chance that they come to Florida goes down dramatically. But it is also the case that, every community in America should be sharing in the burdens. It shouldn't all fall on a handful of red states. And so they're now doing it. Now they have to decide, okay, this is a policy you've supported to have an open border. You don't like it as much. When you get just a small amount compared to what these folks have dealt with in Texas and in other states. And of course, we are just at one state that everybody wants to come to. Yes, we see Americans moving here in record numbers, people visiting here. We're the number one state for foreign tourism by far in 2021 for all U.S. tourism. But even people across the border, there's a lot that say they want to come to Florida. So our message is, we're not a sanctuary state. We don't have benefits or any of that. There are some sanctuary jurisdictions, and that would be better. Now, what would be the best is for Biden to do his damn job and secure the border.
Clear answers coming from Ron DeSantis, which you're not going to get from the Biden administration. And just to kind of piggyback on what he said there, early on with COVID-19, Joe Biden was still allowing illegal immigrants across the border. And if you recall, for those that are old viewers of the Bald Brad Show, I talked a lot about this COVID-19, the illegal immigration. We've been covering it since day one here, on the fact that the pause that they had where they were containing these illegal immigrants, they were putting upwards like 400, 500 people in these pods. It was only supposed to hold like 150 to 250 max. So they were doubling the size, even going against CDC guidelines of CDC said, well, these pods should only be 50% contained. And so they had to sit there and call up the CDC to get it to be 100% contained. Furthermore, they were busing, because they didn't have space, they were busing these illegal immigrants into the localities. And the localities would have to make sure that everybody on that bus would have a COVID-19 test. And you would think, oh, well, the people that came here would have to pay for their own COVID-19 test. The localities had to pay for it. So they had to require, I guess, a local state of emergency for the locality. It's not a state of emergency, but the locality itself didn't have the funds for it. And they were driving them down because the locality, this taxpayers in that sector would have to pay for the COVID-19 tests of these busloads of immigrants coming into their area. So this has been going on for a very long time. Yesterday's episode, if you haven't seen it, the segment, we talked about how much it's costing us, $160 billion plus a year for all the illegal immigrants that are here now, currently, that just came under the Biden administration. So have fun paying with that, because it ain't letting up anytime soon. And I love how clear Ron DeSantis is saying, we're not a sanctuary city. And you got to love it how all these liberals and these progressive leftists were touting, oh, look at us, Los Angeles, look at us, New York, look at us, Washington, D.C. Oh, look at, we're sanctuary city, we're better than you, blah, blah. We send them like a few thousand, and they can't actually take care of them. It's gridlocking their whole system, their infrastructure. You hear that from Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. He's like, what do? We can't house these people. You're talking 5,100 people when you have anywhere from 6,000 to 15,000 coming across the border every day, and they're just expecting the red states to figure it out. So I love the fact that we're busing them all over the place. Now, in a big picture, am I for illegal immigrants being bused? No, but something needs to be done here because the Biden administration is not doing anything, folks. And Ron DeSantis is right. Now, that leads me into our next segment here. We have two different clips with Karine Jean-Pierre honestly getting hounded both by the, mainstream media of the left, MSNBC, I believe, and then also of the right, Fox News with Jackie Henrich, saying, look, you said the border's secure, and they're following up on that idea. Watch how she answers this. Watch how she gets stunned. Watch how she freaking manipulates everything constantly here, answering questions from the press.
And I want to ask you, on the topic of immigration, the vice president said to my colleague Chuck Todd over the weekend, the border is secure. She also caveated that to say we also have a broken immigration system and talked about the need to fix that. But does the White House stand by those comments that the border is secure?
What we stand by is that we are doing everything that we can to make sure that that we follow the process that's been put forth. That's why we have historic funding to do just that, to make sure that the folks that we encounter at the border be removed or expelled. And again, the facts are more individuals encountered at the border will be removed or expelled this year than in any previous year. But that's the work that we have been doing.
Is the border secure?
I'm just going to refer back to the vice president. We agree with her. She is saying that there's a lot of work to do, right? She also said that in that very statement. We agree that the border is secure, but there is still more work to be done.
I guess that, the question becomes how you can make that argument when all DHS has said it's bracing for these potentially 2 million migrants to come, which would be a record in the coming months.
We'll say this, rebuilding the immigration system, especially one that was decimated under the previous administration, won't happen overnight. We're not going to flip a switch and get that done. That's what I said at the beginning. We know that there's work to be done, but we're doing.
How do you make that argument? I hope for the love of God somebody follows up with this. Phil, if you're watching this, can we please, for the love of God, somebody in that room follow up with the asinine statement of blaming the immigration system on Trump? Somebody get a clear answer here of, you didn't have 2 million plus people cross the border under the Trump administration. So how was it a disastrous, a debacle, whatever you want to call it under Trump administration, but you have literally more people that have crossed the border than any U.S. president in American history has ever seen, and it's not a debacle. It's not a broken system. You didn't cause any of this to happen. Can we I just want a trustworthy reporter to just please ask and follow up on this.
Doing the work to make sure that that we remove and expel folks who are coming here, who are being encountered at the border. So, as the actions of listed out show, as I've listed out show, we're committed to getting it done and getting it done right. We need to do it in a humane way. We need to do it in a safe way. And as we have repeatedly said, a long-term solution can only come from a comprehensive legislation that brings lasting reform to a fundamentally broken system. We understand that. And that's why we continue to call on Congress to also act. So we get it. It's a fundamental long-term issue. It is a broken system. But we are also doing the work. And, I have to say the work that what we're seeing Republicans doing, elected officials using migrants as a pawn is not the way to move forward on this. That's not how we're going to get this done. If they want to help us, then they should help us by voting for funding that will get the Department of Homeland Security funding that they need to fix the system, or by helping pass a comprehensive immigration reform bill. So just one more thing I want to say. According to NPR, the migrants said a woman they identify as a Perla approached them and lured them into boarding the plane, saying they would be flown to Boston where they could get expedited work papers. The migrant said she, Perla, offered us help that never arrived. That's not how you treat people. That is inhumane. That's not how we should be doing things. There is a process in place. Yes, is there more work to be done? Yes, absolutely. But there is a process in place. And that's what we should be. That's what these governors should be doing.
I love how she's going to call Republicans like Governor Ron DeSantis or Greg Abbott of Texas busing migrants all over to blue states, political pawns. What was it called when Joe Biden was putting them up in hotels, busing them to different areas within the interior of the country, also flying them under the dark of the night? What was that called, folks? Oh, we weren't using them as political pawns then. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. It's only when Republicans do it. I also love the whole aspect of her just fumbling through her words at the way beginning, trying to figure out what to say. You can't make an argument for the debacle that they created, but they're trying to spin it on Trump. They're trying to spin it on Ron DeSantis, Governor Greg Abbott, Bowser, like all these people, they're trying to throw it on when they're the ones that create it. But, when the hell is some reporter going to follow up going, how is it that you're saying it was a disaster then? What is it called now then? What is it called now? Well, we also, for our last segment, have Jackie Henrich of Fox News replacing kind of Peter Doocy every now and then, following up kind of on that idea of, look, you said the border was secure. What do you say to that? This is what she's going to say here.
Thanks, Karine. Do you think that Americans believe that the border is secure?
What I can tell you is the record and the process that we have been using to make sure that we do our best to secure the border. We do our best to make sure that we fix a broken system that was left behind by the last administration. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We understand it's not like flipping a light switch. This does not happen overnight. This is an immigration system that is fundamentally broken. And it's going to take some time. But we also need Congress to take action. We need Congress to act and to work with us on.
First of all, I just want to pause there. She's spreading the blame, if you notice, folks. We need Congress to do this. We need Republican governors to do that. We need, blah, 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 blah. How about you do your job as the executive branch and you seal up the border and you only allow people that want to come in legally or to file asylum in their own area, meaning their own home country, to do what they need to do, because it worked amazing under Trump. And all of a sudden now you're going to blame Trump, even though you removed all his policies that were working. And now you have this whole debacle, but you're going to blame it on Congress. It's, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida's fault. It's Greg Abbott. It's Bowser. It's everybody else's fault other than Joe Biden. It's miraculously just amazing to me that it's never his fault. Inflation wasn't his fault. The China-Taiwan debacle is not his fault. Russia, Ukraine's not his fault in some way, shape, or form. Rising gas prices wasn't his fault. Nothing's ever his fault. Everything's on fire around us. Not a single shred of blame can be put on Joe Biden. You got the media massaging his damn shoulders. Again, please, for the love of God, somebody follow up with this woman and actually beat her. 'Cause I have a feeling Jackie's going to be soft here. Let's see if she actually goes hardball on Karine.
On fixing this immigration system. And what we're seeing from Republican governors is not the way to do it. It is, again, and I'll keep saying that, it is inhumane, it is cruel, what they're doing to children and to families. And
wow. Really? She's going to go that route, talking about cruel and inhumane? She did the same thing, right, with the MSNBC reporter in that last segment. Talk about inhumane. Gee, I don't know, allowing MS-13 gang members to come through that is killing Americans, allowing massive amount of fentanyl to come through that's not just killing adult Americans, but also now children American, just in mass droves. Oh, I don't know, maybe the sex trafficking that's taking place with our children as well. Talk about inhumane. The violent gang members that are coming across, the drug cartel that will literally cut off your head, wear your teeth as a necklace, use your head as a soup bowl, and send it to your family. Gee, but yeah, though, let's talk about inhumane of freaking putting them on nice buses and sending them to Martha's Vineyard or a blue state that touts, hey, we're going to take care of you. We're going to pay all your bills. You want a nice hotel room while our vets sleep on the streets? Come on in. Come on, take over. We'll take nice, good care of you. But no, she's going to talk about how Governor Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott are inhumane? How about inhumane of you not doing your damn job, which is leading to a multi-billion-dollar business for drug trafficking, sex trafficking, drug cartel, and the whole shebang? But they don't want to talk about that. Never want to talk about that. And for some ungodly reason, you can never get a reporter in that room. And I like some of them, but I'm just saying, can we please do our job and start asking good questions here and following up more dramatically in the sense of how are you going to make this statement, but this statement over here is cockamamie. Can somebody just call her out? Maybe I don't know the rules of the press briefing. Somebody let me know if you call her out, if you're kind of a little touchy and rude a little bit, how Jim Acosta was to Trump. Are you going to get thrown out? Are you not going to be asked back? I don't know. I just want, just please, somebody get me in that room, right? Get me in that room to ask a question. Let's go ahead and play it.
And if they want to work with us on securing the border, on fixing the immigration system, we're happy to do that.
Isn't there some risk, though, that...
Amazing, but they weren't happy to get funding for the wall when Trump was in office, were they? But now all of a sudden, oh, well, we want to work with them to get this going. We want to work with them to rebuild our immigration system. It's bullshit. That's what it is.
Voters might feel like they're being lied to when we're seeing images of, in El Paso, they've released 1,000 migrants on the street because the processing centers are overwhelmed there. How is that humane? How is that safe, as you guys talk about so often, when it's overwhelming border cities, and they're asking the Biden administration to reimburse them for charter buses to get them out of the area because they're totally overwhelmed.
So again, it is a broken system, the immigration system, and it was decimated by the last administration. That is a fact. It was decimated by the last administration. What the last administration wanted was a...
You guys, I know I'm repeating myself. This is where you interrupt her as a reporter and you ask her to explain if that was decimated, what is now? If he had less numbers than you do, and you have over 2 million plus, you have over 5 million people that came across illegally, what do you call that? Do some reporting, please, and follow up. Don't just allow her to say asinine things and get away with it, because she's got away with it way too long, and it's frustrating as hell. I know a lot of people write in. You guys leave comments. She doesn't answer questions. She dodges it. She reads from her freaking notebook. She fumbles through her words like her boss does. We never get legit answers. And I'm begging somebody in that room, because I know there's reporters in that White House room that follow the show. Can we please, for the love of God, somebody explain to me in the comments why we're not doing this? Be nice about it, sure. It's not that hard to think and just listen of going hey, well, you're saying this and this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up. I don't know.
Border wall that was ineffective and used a use of taxpayers' dollars, and that's what we saw from the last administration. But just recently, CBP reported that that new wall along the southwest border was breached over 3,000 times. That new wall, and between fiscal year of 2019 and 2021. It's required $22.6 million in repairs. That's what we're trying to deal with a decimated system that was certainly not helped by the last administration. Look, we understand. I'm not saying that there's not more work to do. We are saying there's more work to do. We are saying that the system is broken. But we are saying that as well, we have done a lot of work here to fix this system. And again, more individuals encountered at the border will be removed or expelled this year than in any previous year. Those are the facts.
She keeps saying this. No shit, Sherlock. I'm sorry to cuss, folks, but for the love of God, if you have more people coming in, obviously you're going to have more apprehensions. Obviously you're going to have to throw people back because you have more people coming in. No duh. So why are you boasting about this, you knucklehead? It doesn't look good. Oh, we're going to have more people to send back. Yeah, you're also allowing more people in too. You're also apprehending more people because more people are showing up the border more than they can handle, which was her original question. How can you say the border's secure? Are you going to refund them their money for all these charter buses that they're having to send people out because there's no room? There's nowhere to put them. I know I'm losing my crap here, folks, but you know why? You know what we're dealing with here? Bunch of lying, bunch of gaslighting liars right now.
Do you have a message for the migrants, though, who are saying that the border is open? I mean, today we talked to a few who arrived in D.C. They said that the border is open. We know it's open because we come, we enter, no problem. we haven't heard a message from the administration in a few months telling people not to come. We've heard you guys talking about trying to make it a more orderly process, but you're not telling people not to come.
So Department of Homeland Security, Secretary Mayorkas has been very clear. He was on TV recently talking about this, talking about the work that they do. And so I will leave it to the Department of Homeland Security to speak to that specifically. But again,
I'm finished with her. Why? Why not get the president on the podium, do a national address right there in front? Everybody's showing it all on the airwaves. Get him on there and say, don't come. Fill the paperwork out in your country. Stop coming here illegally. Be clear, like we just saw in our first segment with Ron DeSantis. Oh, well, the Alejandro Mayorkas, as if they know who the hell that is. Everybody knows who Joe Biden is. The old guy that's on a string like puppets that can't talk, fights with his teleprompter, doesn't know his wife's name, get lost going to the Oval Office. Yeah, that guy. Everybody knows who he is. They're wearing his freaking name on their shirt. So get the guy that's on the name, on the shirt, on there on the podium to say, don't come. But you freaking have Kamala Harris going over there, don't come. Don't come. That just worked out freaking fine and dandy, didn't it? But well, I'm not going to address it. We'll leave it to Alejandro Mayorkas. Oh, the guy who's a Brett Baier, the drugs, Brett, the drugs. If you remember that episode. It drives me up a freaking wall how bad they are at their job, how unbelievably bad they are. And even more than that, over 80 million people voted for Joe Biden. I didn't think I'd get so riled up in this episode this early in the morning, but I'm fuming because I'm just so tired. I'm so tired of being lied to. I'm so tired of being gaslit. I'm so tired of them playing these charades with all of us. And then we're always made out to be the bad guys. We're always the sexist, bigot, homophobe, lack of empathy. We're inhumane and all these things. But nobody in that room is going to sit there and turn the freaking page on them. Sit there and call them inhumane for blah, blah, blah reasons. Sex trafficking, drug cartel, them violent murders coming across, terrorists coming across. How about we put it back on them? Can we get somebody in that room, please? Please. We will see if it happens. I cover these all the time. I watch almost every press briefing there is. I need somebody to follow up and just whack her upside the head with a great freaking question because it's clearly not happening. We need to stop letting her get away with this stuff. If you need to interrupt and be like Jim Acosta, then freaking do it at this point because I'm tired of her getting away with this. This is the worst press secretary we've ever seen, worse than Jen Psaki and everybody that came before. It's unbelievable. Folks, I hope you got riled up with me on this Friday. We will be back with Supernatural Saturdays tomorrow. I know there's people that have been asking about it. It's just been tough to record on Saturdays, but we will be back with Supernatural Saturdays. Be on the lookout for that. And folks, I hope you've had a lovely week. Hope you have a great weekend. Make good decisions, folks. And I will be back here with another episode of The Bald Brad Show on Monday. So folks, have a nice weekend. I'll see you later.